All right, guys, welcome back to the shop. We're going to go ahead and make the Huginn. All right, just a couple things to go over as I get ready. I'm going to break this up into two videos. The first one being this one is going to be me actually getting the knife, ground and ready for scales. And then the second and last video is going to be sculpting and finishing out the handle. Let's take a trip over to my workbench where I have my upcoming projects. And of course, today we're going to be working on the Huginn. All right, so first things first, I'm going to go ahead and get over to the grinder, and I'm going to break those corners and create some 45-degree angle grinds, and I'm going to take the thickness down to about 1 millimeter before I go to my next belt. However, before going to that next belt, I'm going to go ahead and finish the bevel, or practically finish the bevel, with a 36 grit belt. Little note here though, what I'm doing is I'm actually using a extremely worn 36 grit belt to break those edges, because if you don't do that, you're going to just absolutely destroy the abrasive on your new belt, practically wasting the belt itself or minimizing the life that your belt's going to have significantly. Now that I have the main bevel established, I'm going to go ahead and go to a 220 grit belt and get ready to just clean up the bevels. What you're going to see me do here in a second is lower the speed of the grinder. Once you go over 120 grit belt, pretty much all you're doing is taking the scratches off from the previous grit's belt. One of the main things to note here though is I'm not actually pushing very hard on the grinder at all. I'm actually letting the weight of the knife do most of the work, because all I'm doing at this point is taking out scratches, right? Because I started with 36 grit belt. I put in those huge 45s, established the main bevel, went to 120, cleaned up the bevel, straightened everything out, and then took the edge down to almost its final thickness. Now that I'm at the 220 belt, if I push hard at this point in time, I'm going to burn the edge. If you burn the edge, that basically means you ruin the heat treat. So then you're going to have to reheat treat the knife. And if it's too thin, you kind of ruined it. So what I'm doing here now is, now that I actually finished the grind, I'm just inspecting everything before I move on to the swedge. I want to make sure everything is as symmetrical as possible and everything is to its final dimension before hitting up that swedge. So as you can see, I'm roughing in the swedge with 120 grit belt on the flat platen. After I've established the rough swedge, I'm going to move to my rotary platen. That's going to allow me to clean it up really nicely. And I'm going to do that with a 220 grit belt, because right after we're done here, after we inspect it and make sure everything's good, we're going to move to sandblasting the knife. So I'm giving it one last inspection before we head over to the sandblasting cabinet. And by the way, this is the Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet. If you have no other option and you're super broke, this will work. But if you have any extra money, I highly recommend buying something better than this. This thing absolutely is horrible. But for as horrible as it is, it gets the job done. So check this out. Look at how much cleaner that is. Sandblasting not only saves work, but just gives a great finish, especially for blackening. One of the other benefits of sandblasting is it creates more surface area on the knife. So it allows for more surface area for the blackening substance or the blackening chemical to take hold to. So it allows for a really even finish. But I have found that if you just leave it to using a napkin and the blackening fluid, it's not going to be even. You got to use triple O or quadruple O steel wool after you blacken it, and that is the key to getting that even finish. Now it's time to electro etch my emblem. All right, the blade is as finished as it's going to be right now before we give it its final edge. So next, we're going to go ahead and grab the wood for the handle. And currently, the wood that I always offer is ancient bog oak if someone doesn't have a preference. And that's because it's black and tactical. However, it gives it a custom feel. But really, that's it for today. So next time, we're going to go ahead and get the scales on, sculpt it, finish it out. So we'll see you next time.